Okay. Jó reggelt again. Good morning again. Thank you very much, Malte, for offering me this stage, this group, to share my experiences with some of you that I don't know, and with some of you that you are probably already a little bit fed of me, because you are coming since quite many years to me. So now that I have started to speak, I realize that I am a little bit moved, because of course I would have never imagined that one day I will sit on this chair here and not on this chair. So I will quote a man about whom I will talk a little bit more today, who said, "We know to cope quite well with our sufferings, but not so well with our joy." And this is how I also feel now, a little bit overwhelmed, because I will jump back 12 years in the time when in 2014 I started training for family and systemic constellation. I learned about family constellations in 2009. The first time I saw, my first thought was, I want to learn this. But it wasn't the moment. So I just kept going many years in the town where I live in Romania, in Transylvania. Back then, there weren't really family constellation facilitators. So there were some guest lecturers coming from Budapest. I started to organize them, workshops, and there were some people time to time coming from Bucharest. I didn't know them back then. But it wasn't a fashionable thing. So telling people that I am going to family constellation was like they were thinking that all the members of the family are coming and we do something there with the whole family, because it was something unimaginable. And in 2014, I have learned that there is a training starting in Budapest, led by a teacher who lives in Wien, and so I decided to start the training. But before I decided to start the training, I was already a coach, and in my individual sessions, without planning, naturally, organically, I started to do kind of individual constellation sessions. And I wanted to share a group constellation with some Romanian people. My mother tongue is Hungarian, but I am working both with Hungarians and Romanians. And then they said, don't organize for us. Don't invite anybody from abroad for us. We want to go to a group which you lead. And I was like, but I am doing just yoga and individual sessions. And they said, it doesn't matter. Build your workshop for a weekend and we come. And it was quite scary for me. Like, who am I to start or to lead a group? And at the end, I announced a group, came 12 people, and it was a wonderful start. It called the title for that workshop was something like Shakti, the feminine principle, or something like this. It was a group for women. And I mixed the yoga. In the morning there were yoga sessions, in the afternoon constellations, and it worked very well. So I was very interested in the yoga philosophy and psychology. not so much in the physical practice. I was doing hatha yoga classes, but I was really curious to find a question, to find the answer to the question, why do I suffer so much? So it was, we know very well, this is a question that I think everybody knows well. And then I was thinking about the chakra system and about the constellations. And I had the impression that there is fog. I am walking in the fog, and there is a river in front of me. And on one side of the river is east, with how much I got back then practically through the chakra system, and on the other side is somehow west with psychology and family constellation. And I was thinking there has to be a bridge, but I don't find a bridge. I find myself in this fog, and I realize I am on one side, and then I am on the other side, and I cannot find a bridge. And when I started the family constellation training, there were just 4 books in our bibliography. And the first book was called Life Has No Reverse Gear from Wilfried Nelles. So I started with the first book, and as I started to read it, I told to the father of my son, I can foresee, I have this impression that because of this guy, this Wilfried Nelles, I will learn one day German. I was thinking then that I am joking. Yeah. And then Zsolt said, well, nowadays everybody is doing trainings in English. So for sure he is doing also in English. Look out on Facebook. And I looked on Facebook, and there was the first International Summer Academy. And with my last money, I had money just to live for 2 months. And with my last money, I decided to come because I said how great that somebody found this bridge. So if somebody did it, it's why not to go on the easy path and go and take it. Yeah, I didn't want to work. And then I have arrived, and when I saw Wilfried Nelles working, then started the panic. So there was an impression. I have to tell a little story from East. When a disciple hears about a famous master and decides to go to meet this master, and walks days and weeks and months, and arrives to the master, and the master is tying his shoelaces. And the disciple sees the master tying his shoelaces, and he bows and leaves. If somebody is a master, is master in whatever he does. There is no gap between what he speaks, no abyss, yeah, between what he speaks, thinks, speaks, and does. And for me, seeing Wilfried working was like, I have seen everything. I can go back home. On the other hand, the panic started because I have realized that ciao, old life. No more old life. The family constellation training was still ongoing. I still had to, those who did it know that it's quite a tough thing. There are exams, there is 200 hours of practice, etc., etc. And I knew I still have to take the exam, and I will never, ever be able to do the way I am expected to do, to pass the exam. So I could not work anymore the old way. I just started and I already could not work the old way. I was thinking, I go back home and now what I say? what am I doing? People don't even know about family constellation. They started to have a clue. And now I say, no, actually I do leap. What the fuck is that leap? You know, to start everything from the very beginning. With the yoga was also difficult because there was a left-hand tantric guy who was doing prostitution under the tantra yoga. So in Romania, when I started yoga, everybody was thinking that I am a prostitute. So 2010, 2018, 7-8 years were, I had the impression I am restarting and restarting and restarting, and my life is a continuous start button. And but I just started to put the numbers. I wasn't so secure, but I said I do how I feel. I follow this feeling, and I will see what will happen. And then what happened was that I came to the second summer academy, and after the second summer academy I received the newsletter in German, and I understood that there will be no more international summer academy. And I wrote to the Nelles Institute asking what will happen with us who don't speak German. And then both Wilfried and Malte answered, you put your S and learn German, and see you in September. So I had 9 months. I had no money, I didn't speak German. I was thinking, no more trainings, I am too old. Again, trainings from the very beginning. But of course, deep in my heart, I knew this, I have no choice, actually. It wasn't my decision. It all happened one step after the other. And then in 2020, I started the first basic training in Romania in Hungarian, in full COVID, in secret. But people came, nobody got ill ever there. I got ill also in Spain when we were on holidays. So I don't know what happened. It was a miraculous thing. And I was quoting when I started a man, and I said that I would like to talk a little bit about him, because actually without the base that he gave to me, I'm sure that I would have not arrived here to Nettersheim, to the Nelles Institute. This man is a Hungarian writer, philosopher. His name is Hamvas Béla. I write his name, maybe you are curious, you will find a few things on internet about him in English. And why he was so important for me, I started to read his books very early. At the beginning, I didn't understand. When I started to understand just a little bit, in me was a reaction to take the book and throw to the wall. So it had such a powerful impact, because all the world that I tried as a young adult to build for myself, to have some reference points in the world. So I feel that this huge, immense life is not so threatening, and it's not swallowing me. He just took all the reference points, one by one. So for me as a young woman, this was really frightening. It was like a very weird drug. I was reading a little bit, throwing the book, taking it back, reading a little bit, getting really panicked, putting down. This man was born at the end of the 19th century, so he lived in the 20th century in Hungary. He was speaking and reading and writing fluently in French, English, German. He was reading all the philosophers, the French philosophers, the British writers, and the German psychologists in original, and he was speaking Latin and Greek, which is okay. All the polyhistors of the 20th century, at the beginning of 20th century, were doing these things. But he wanted to read Lao Tzu in original. So he learned Chinese and was translating from Chinese. He wanted to read the Vedanta in original, so he learned Sanskrit. He wanted to read the Sufi mystical poets or writers in original, so he learned Arab. And he wanted to read Kabbalah in original, so he learned Hebrew. And he made a synthesis of East and West in his books. And because he was also a man like Wilfried Nelles, that between what he was thinking, what he was saying, and what he was doing, there was no difference. When the system, and actually it doesn't matter what kind of system, yeah, but the political system would have asked him to compromise his work, his life, he decided to become a simple worker. He was doing farming. This man was doing farming because he was kicked out of academy. He was banned. His books his books were not published anymore. So what people did were that they were typewriting and sharing to each other in samizdat. So it was like a secret movement, an underground movement, because people were starving for what he did. For in this materialistic, nihilistic second half of European culture, no matter if we are talking about the capitalist or the communist part of Europe, it was the same, materialistic, nihilistic. People were starving for some truth of the soul. And in his books, he could find this bridge. So for me it was like an initiation, but it was his books, because he was saying, so he was in both world wars. Then he was in forced labor 10 years. Only every Saturday he could leave his home, his working place. Then he went to Budapest and he borrowed books. And he was reading and reading and reading and writing and translating. And he said, he placed the question, what is this corruption? What is this existential lie in which we are now in the 20th century? Wherever I look, I see that somewhere the intactness of life has broken. And he started to search, where did start the corruption? Where is that first dark point? And he is having beautiful sentences. He said, the big shift in my life started when I realized that I was looking for the dark point outside in history. He was going back. That's how he learned so many things through the spiritual traditions of the world. And he said, I was looking for the dark spot in the wrong place, outside me. And that was a very strong shifting point in his life. And he started to use the word to realize. But in that sense, that whatever you think, it has to be proved through your life. The rest is bullshit. Everybody can think. Yeah? Everything that you think, all your grandiose, wonderful ideas are shit, if your life is not proving it. And of course I hated him. So you can imagine where I was. And he's talking a lot about the golden era or the golden times. And I didn't understand the golden times. I was thinking that he wants to go back into that paradise time. And then in China, actually, this year, when I was, thanks to Jane and thanks to Wilfried Nelles, I was thinking a lot about these things. And suddenly came an idea which then stayed with me, and here when I have arrived to Nettersheim, somehow came as an insight that actually in LEAP we talk about the potential of the individual. So the LEAP is a model for the stages of life and for the levels of consciousness, both on individual and collective level. And it was like, okay, so if there is a potential in me as individual, so it's not just James Hillman, Malte quoted him often, and I am also quoting this very often, this sentence, who is an American psychoanalyst, that we are born with two lives. The life that is ours somehow, which is our potential, and the life that we have to live, the life where we are born through our parents and through the time and the space where we are born. And I was thinking, okay, so actually, both on collective, individual and collective level, there is a potential. And then suddenly I realized this is what Hamvas Béla is talking about when he's talking about the golden time, that we as human beings carry collectively in us a potential. And this is the big blind spot of the youth consciousness, which thinks that life ends with thinking. Life ends with this materialistic level. And then I got so excited. I remember we were in Hangzhou. I had one day like today, and I was talking, and suddenly it was like, what a great adventure is this leap. And it's just starting. So I think that what is still to come through this approach, it will still bring lots of surprises. So I don't consider at all that, okay, it was born in 2007-8 as a book and then developed further and became a model, and then now we are all bored of LEAP. Everybody is doing LEAP. Okay, let's go and have a whiskey because this is boring. I consider that this is actually a wonderful tool, or as Wilfried wrote in his book, an initiation, a modern initiation into adult life. But what is exciting for me, and maybe I will not live so much, or we will not live so much to see, what does it mean at collective level, this individual potential that is still there. We can experience on individual levels. This can be a wonderful model, but suddenly that dark future that comes through social media and through wars and all the realities of life, that dark future wasn't so threatening anymore. It was like, if we don't kill ourselves, which is also possible because teenagers kill themselves, yeah? But if we don't kill ourselves as humanity, then it can be a great adventure. And this was why I fall in love with the LEAP, with this approach, because I was thinking, okay, finally, it's not just in the books. Finally, there is a tool to help me to see that dark spot in me. And it is like a tool to bring more light and to see everything that in me is fear, is anger or frustration or anxiety or whatever we consider, or corruption. Yeah, I am also corrupted like everybody else. Yeah, he also said a sentence, something like, we are all in the same pot. Yeah, none of us can say, I am clean. This is also a spiritual need to stay intact, to not be touched by life. And he says, we are all life and existence in the same time. And when what came, another idea that came was that actually the life also in this moment is an intersection of life and existence. Every moment. In every moment I am life, but I am something not life. Something more than pure life. Maybe not even spirit, but I have to use this word. Something more than pure biological life, and something more than culture that is created by the spirit of the time. And I think that the mystics in every religion, there was the institutionalized religion, which became church everywhere, also in Buddhism, and in Christianism and everywhere. So there was the cultural part, which is the life part, and then behind, as an invisible story or invisible river, is the spiritual or the non-visible part of life, which I call existence. And the spiritual tradition of which Hamvas Béla is talking, of the mystics, is this. And maybe only poetry, time to time, can approach it through words. But the best can be approached by silence. And then when I came here, I met so much silence in the work. And I loved it, because it was, I don't have to renounce the joyful life. Yesterday with some of you, we were in the restaurant and we were laughing crazy and we had a great time. And I love life. I love to eat, to drink, to dance, to be in love, to walk, to be in nature, everything that life offers. But if it would, when I was offered on tray, a life where only this exists, that comes together with power, high politics many times, high management in CEO, etc. I always felt, if I receive this, I'm left just with the pure life, and the other stream will weaken. So, looking back, I was crying many times. Imagine, I could have many villas in Romania. Yeah, because once you are a politician, you can do whatever you want. And I was many times in my life with naked ass, we say in Hungarian. So without money, without good existence. Many times I was a single mother with no money. I was crying. Sometimes it was really hard. Why am I like this? Why I cannot be like anybody else? A normal person who is stealing, lying, doing this to get first to the meat and bite and get it. Why? And when I look back, I see I was, as Wilfried said, carried. That stream behind took good care of me. And somehow I am still here. I am still enjoying both life and the non-life. I hope you You got what I wanted to say? And no matter what is happening with me, my inner feeling is that I am the richest person in the world. But because there is this invisible story, he even has I think the first book I read from him is called, I was 20-something, The Invisible Story. And it's about this part that in the 20th century somehow could not really be. So for me, each time I work, it's like a big, on one hand, it's like a big wow, because I never know what will open, what it brings to me. On the other hand, it's not a nice work. Yeah, because you are as facilitator, you are the first person who is worked. Yeah, no, it's not we who work on ourselves, but this work is doing something with us, and it's not comfortable to face all my dark sides. Yeah, so it is like I am under a spotlight all the time when I am working, and of course I feel my heart when I am sitting here on this chair and the clients come. I don't have to do anything to be a good person with an open heart and a loving kindness and compassion and whatever. It comes organically, naturally. But it is working me also. And then it happened that we were with Paco in Spain with his friends, and I was so angry with his friends, and I was so judging, and I didn't like them at all. And I considered that it was right at the beginning after we have met, and I was still in that story that I am a good spiritual person. Paco can tell you about this, how this big is love that he managed even to cope with this unbearable me. And then of course his friends were just very cheerfully enjoying life, and I was in that asset mood. Then when I was renouncing to the worldly things because I want just the other side, yeah? And that's a big danger if you think you have to choose or this or that. And then I was crying the whole night of anger and there was anger, but there was also a big disappointment. And I was crying the whole night in a wonderful paradisic place, that why I cannot be also on my in my everyday life, be like on this chair. Why? And probably if I would be also in my everyday life all the time like that, I would already not be here. Or maybe I will arrive to a kind of wisdom. I am not that old yet to be that wise. So when I will be like Wilfried or older, maybe even older, who knows? Yeah, but till I am here alive in this moment, and I remember now what I wanted to say about the here and now, that I also loved that we work in the here and now, and I didn't find any other method. Not even meditation, because there you can also go very easily in the last seduction of spiritual path. Well, maybe it's not the right term, spiritual ego, but there can be still a wish to get enlightened. Yeah, and then you sit to get enlightened. And here in the four, I don't say that once you stay here, you will have no more problems in your life. Of course you will have. But there is a first, maybe just a little tiny illumination. So the light comes in the here and now. And in that light, you can see much better. And I also loved this distance. I grew up on countryside and I went a lot to church and also to funerals and also to weddings in a very traditional village I grew up. And I remember back in my childhood, we knew the priests in the neighboring villages. And some priests had very good renommé. People were saying, he's a good priest, he can make people cry. Yeah, and if we think that this is the negative of the two, so here is all the traditional, but in the other sense of traditional word, in the sense of the collective group consciousness, and this is the I, the ego, and also the space at collective level for psychotherapy. That is the good therapy or therapist who makes you cry a lot. And when I came here after 6 years of family constellation, I was so happy that I don't have to cry so much. and I left home in the evenings in a completely different mood. So this is what the 4 is giving, this distance, which might be perceived if your image about what is love is a Hollywoodian image, then of course you have to be always in this pink little heart hugging. And in the trainings I am emphasizing a lot on the person who is at the training. And I say, the leap as a method, you can learn like this. If you are not completely stupid, you can learn in a couple of days. You read the books, and you have some intellect, so you understand what it means, different levels of consciousness. So that is not a big deal. But to really let it work you, to really let it show you, when you are like a good mommy with your clients, yeah, or when you want your clients to love you, when you go into intellectual competitions with your clients, yeah, or when you can bear however the client is. Hellinger said that it's in German it's a beautiful word, zurückzuhalten. In English I cannot find. In Hungarian we also have the word, but it means that you step back. And because we are all modern people, we are in the womb of modernity, it means we cannot do this. I cannot decide mentally, I will step back and let the process happen. And I am there just to hold. Just to be there as a spirit that is holding the space. I cannot decide it, so I have to, somehow life has to mill me, and slowly, through a lot of pain. Cecilia many times is really angry because she would like to have a much easier way. Yeah, and she's telling me how angry she is with the leap, and she decides never ever leap, and then starts again. Yeah, but somehow slowly you arrive, and you can be time to time as a therapist or as a simple person in your everyday life in an attitude where whatever you see, you leave it as it is. Yeah, but I would not dare to say I am there especially because my husband is here and he would tell you that it's not true. It is a lie. I am not there every day and in my individual life all the time. Yeah, but it is helping me first of all, and then it's sometimes helping also my clients because they come. So I think that they are not very masochistic and not just because of that they come, but it is helping me. Yeah, it is not I would not say that I have found the answer to the question, why do I suffer? But the question, why do I suffer, is not bothering me anymore so much. Yeah, I learned to live together with it, and it can be also this question. So I think this is now. I forgot my watch at home, and this is Paco's watch, but I think I can read it. Yeah, so thank you very much. This was now my little presentation. If there is any question.